proceed. So let me share the screen.
Yeah, already. Thanks, Sean.
Hi Avinash. Hi. Hi Pankaj. I think Mayur only is left. Okay, so if let me send it. Just got disconnected. Okay, check. Uh, is outline.
No, man, he is available. Can I add him?
Yeah, you can send a request.
Yeah, I send a request.
Yeah,
He is
just
available actually.
okay. So let me start with a brief intro. Okay, so we are going to discuss about the widget UI code base. So here is the GitHub repo of the same, uh, and this is a totally a UI means Angular project 12.0.5. Okay, so as the name suggests, it's a small widget, and its purpose is to take a consent from the from the users, and at the background, the data pulling feature starts. So I've created this small thing like so the widget will never be working as a standalone application. It will always be integrated with some kind of portal. So right currently we are integrated with Shoppers. We also have an integration point with OBH, but it's not productionized yet. So I put like Shopper. So a user will come through Shopper portal, then our widget is getting launched, and then our data is pulled. The data of the user is pulled and sent to OCGT. There are multiple downstream integration we have, OCG, EPMP, and we also send back the 201 to Shoppers again. So but those are totally a back end job. So right now we only focus on the front end. Uh, this is a folder structure. When you will clone the repo, this is something which you will be seeing. Initially, you have to do as an idle UI application npm install to get all the node modules installed for your project.
Man, sorry to interrupt. One
Yeah,
moment,
yeah.
please. Yeah, I know that widget is not a standalone application. So before our widget, we have Shoppers, and once we got the info from Shoppers, we are passing that info to OCG. So what exactly Shoppers is giving and what we are passing to OCG here?
Sure. Okay. So our widget
It's some kind of business question, but
no, sure. See, you anyone can ask question anytime during this conversation, so there is no issue. It's a business as well as a technical question over here. So right now our widget follows these two, you can say, standards. This is a domain level standard, Fire Smart app. So if you will search in Google also, there is
Smart on Fire.
Smart on Fire. Okay. I missed it. Yeah. So it's a standard in which there are in the standard it is mentioned what all inputs will be provided. These are kind of like minimum inputs will be provided. Uh, you can add more as per the business case, which we are doing. We have some extra parameters too. Um, then what happens is based on those input, we process the data. Not sure, like why is it taking so long?
Amnath, by the time it loads, can you give us a brief what is exactly the whole process is doing? Aman explained about what we are doing with widget. So can you tell us from starting to ending? So what is happening with shoppers, what is happening with widget, and then what is happening with OCG?
Okay, good question. So let me take a brief pause as to how I can give an overview.
Okay.
Okay. So to give you the business context, let me share my screen for a while.
Aman, I know it's code walkthrough, but still, if we know this, we can understand code in better way. That is the reason I am stopping this.
Can we record this second?
So it's simple. As Aman will come into the code level, what is happening is there is a persona called shoppers. Shoppers, as the name suggests, is someone doing shopping. What are they shopping for? They're shopping for insurance, like we do on Policy Bazaar, like we do on CoverFox Insurance in India. People switch plans. People switch their health, life, auto, all insurance time and again as and much they're satisfied with their plan or they had a change in requirement. So when does that happen? In US, there is a period called open enrollment, October to January. That's when most of the switching happens. But the rest of the 8 months, also some people switch. So majority switching happens in those 4 months. The rest of the time also people switch. So what is happening? So this persona called shoppers, they are shopping for insurance plans. Somehow they have landed upon two of our digital portals, arpmedicare.com and uhcmedicare.com. So these two digital properties are used for our sales, I would say, or shoppers who are coming to this portal and checking their quotes, checking their premium, checking their doctors, checking their drugs, etc. So somehow via the call center or somehow we are able to channel some incoming traffic to these digital portals. Now what we are doing is we want these people, these shoppers, to import their health data. So let's say on your Policy Bazaar, if you go and if you are able to pull your historical health data from somewhere, you would have been able to get a better premium. Maybe you will check if your doctor is in network. You will see if the drugs which are consumed by you and your dependents are covered by the insurance plan or not. So it would be a smoother process rather than you entering all that stuff manually. So we are leveraging in the interoperability rule. We have registered our application, which is Flex Data Acquisition, as a third-party application to the other payers, Humana, Aetna, Anthem. And we want the shopper persona to come and rather than entering their details manually, use our portal to import data. So they'll come on our portal, first step. Second step would be, they'll launch our widget, which is this step. And then third would be select their previous pair and then import their data. And we as Flex Data Acquisition team, we are not reinventing the wheel. We want to leverage or build upon organizations' resources. So we have something called OCG, which is the clinical gateway for file transfer. So all the data we acquire from the payer, we send it via the clinical gateway, which is a file transfer product which Optum has. Then we have something called as SDR, which is again a single data repository data lake, which I think is built upon Snowflake, if I'm not sure, but it's some kind of a product which Optum has developed. Again, leveraging some commercial product to build a data repository for our requirements. And then we have something called as EPMPA. And again, this is a product which Optum has developed for consent management. So you want to pull data for a member, but you also want to take his or her consent to pull data. So you have those two check boxes which capture those. So that was a good 3-4 minute overview on the flow. I wanted to make a process map, but I think it's not needed
No
right
problem,
now.
Manjar. You told about 3 steps, right? First step will be logging into the portal. Is that portal?
No logging in. So it's like Policy Bazaar. You You are just a random casual user. You're just
Okay. And the second step is pulling data from the port, whatever the portal we previously have, and then passing that to the third point. I mean, nothing but OCG you said previously. So here our widget is acting as a middle component in between the previous step and second step to pass the data. Other than that, our widget doesn't have any other implementation.
correct. So I would say not the widget. Flex data acquisition platform is the middleware between your source system and destination system. Your source is your other pairs like Itna, Anthem, Humana, and your destination is the SDR, single data repository, and you are the middleware where, based upon the user's consent and trigger, you pull data and just dump it on the SDR. We don't do any analytics, we don't do any processing, we just take the member's consent, hit some URL endpoints, bundle that data, and send it to SDR.
Okay. Mandap, when you said FlexDA, so other than widget and consent management, are we doing any other operation in between the first step and third step?
No.
Okay. Thanks, Mandap. That's good overview. Yeah. Sorry, Aman. Please continue.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so we are good with the business knowledge. This is the link actually I was trying to open. So these are the minimum 2 parameters you need to pass for launching an app. The smart
water.
app. Okay, so we also receive ISS. This stands for issuer. Issuer in this case a portal, and launch means the launch ID. Whatever launch ID we this is a unique identifier for every user. That is why there is a constraint that it should be unique always. However, so these are the basic standards. Now our business build over these standards. So we need few extra values too. Like in case of Shopper, we select our Fire server on the Shopper portal only, like Humana, Etna or whatever. However, in case of OBH, we are giving the privilege to select it at our widget level. So that is why there is also a Fire server ID needed. For that, I can show like I have already have the URLs. So this is the whole URL to launch a widget. So this is the base server. The launch is our page, the first page. Issuer. This is the issuer. This is the launch. That is the launch ID. Then there are few extra. Title is showing the title on the page. Browser tab. ID type. So this is one value we use for what you say, verbiage. Sorry, EPMP. Sorry, consent things. And there is a verbiage ID, and at the end there is a Fire server ID. So Fire server ID is kind of like optional, in the sense for Shopper it will be coming to our widget, and for OBH it will not be coming from the launch portal. So basically our widget have to be flexible enough or configurable enough to adapt all those settings. See, widget is quite a stateless thing. So let me go back. So widget is quite stateless. It doesn't know from where it is getting launched. So we follow a concept of backend for frontend. So at widget level, we do not do any kind of computation like determination of from which portal it is getting launched or what. We always send the data to the backend, and based on the inputs we receive, that is the launch, issuer, and other input parameters, the widget is launched. That is how we are launching. Even the terms and conditions are different for different issuers. So this is what BFF concept is applied. Backend for frontend. So everything, like every component that you can see on the UI is configured from backend database. The textual data is also coming from the backend. Now I will show the demo at the end. Now we will see what are the components. So as I said, it is a very small project. So we have a launch component, that is the very first component. we have a finish import, that is the second component, and this is the, by process, it is the last component. Error component is the fallback component. Like if any API goes wrong in these two components, then there is a error component which we load. And this is insurer selection. Actually, this has to be renamed to a loading symbol. So we have a custom loading symbol. So we coded it over here. So it's just a loading symbol. There is no TS file implementation of it. Like this is a loading script. That's it. Now coming back to the launch component, yes, so major code chunk is present in launch as well as in app component.ts. Uh, why the code, major code is present at the app component.ts? Because we have to set something uh, as soon as our widget got bootstrap, that is loaded. So setting up the title, that is one thing, because this is a navigational, you will route to this component, but this will load at the very first. So this is one thing. We do we do some session storage also, like receiving the parameters and saving it to the session storage. This is needed because our widget is having custom refresh and browser back functionality. So over here, if you will see, there are certain conditions on which custom actions has to be taken. We do not follow the default refresh functionality in case of widget. There are certain business actions that we need to take, which I will explain. So let's first go down to ng on init component. Um, Here we take all the component inputs, and then we will take a judgment here. So there is a decision flow. You can see that there are there are if else conditions are present over here. So these are just to take a decision that widget is the drop down for the widget has to be shown or not. Let me show you through a UI. I think the application is running. Yeah, it is running. So let me launch the widget, and through the network tab, I can show what all I am saying. Let me try to launch this. Okay. Um, so I will update something here. 1200. Okay, and try to launch this widget. So you can see that we are storing the widget refresh state, so that whenever we do a refresh, actually in order to, when we do a refresh, our whole DOM used to re-render. That is why we are storing it at a session level and see what actions to be taken after the refresh functionality. Right now, what is happening here is it is waiting for the launch API to complete, checking all the input parameters. You can see all the input parameters are passed. So it got failed. Let me see. Okay, so there is no preview. Maybe I have sent something wrong here. Not sure. Let me check it again. One healthcare ID, launch ID, everything looks good to me. Okay, there is an error while doing a proxy thing. Okay. I need to restart this server. I have changed that proxy. I was actually initially starting the proxy to local system, local, but because we have a dev environment stable now, so we can check from the dev now. Let it quickly restart. Yeah, it got restart now. Now if I will control B and do that change again, 1201, and then hit the API. So yeah, this time it's again sending. This time it will go to the dev. Yeah, so Once the launch API got succeed, so we receive a 200 OK, then we will trigger the Fire server meta and get terms and condition. So get terms and condition, whatever data you see over here is coming from terms and conditions. Even the button text. And this cross button is also configurable now. So I think there is a callback API, not sure, callback is happening. So maybe I'm using an old version. This is not a latest version, it's from any defect I am having, but it's fine. The main concept here is that everything you can see on the screen is coming from the backend. There is no hard coding happening at the UI level. And this API, what is the use of this API? Actually, whatever Fire server ID we received, like over here it is 1. So we map the pair name, Fire server display name. Like 1 is Humana. So because this is Humana, if I move to second page, you can see the Humana name coming up over here. So finish your import at Humana. So this judgment is like this. However, this is also refined because they have done something. Yeah, so return to callback, this terms and condition, this criteria span, this. Yeah. So I accept and agree, accept and agree. Where is it? Span of, I accept it, agree. Okay, to import, yeah, okay. Over here we use this. To import your data, we need body text where it is. This is text 2001. Let's see, get terms and conditions based on issue. Body text, import the data. You will be now redirected to this. This is authorization. Okay, so I think this message is quite put it in the screen only. This is not the dynamic one. Yeah, this one. Oh, okay, I am having an old version because of this. It is having. I got it now. Okay, let me check if I can switch to. Where is it? Origin develop. Anything get
As of now, whatever the terms and conditions, all those things were getting updated to DB through scripts only, right? We are
Yes,
not configuring
yes.
dynamically.
Yes, we are not configuring anything dynamically.
But whatever is already there in DB, we are getting them through an API call, and we are taking appropriate steps to update our widget context.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me check that it's not doing stuff. Oh. Yeah, just trying to check. Yeah, okay. In case of Humana, okay, I got it now. In case of Humana, the page 2 data, this data is fixed at the UI. Yeah, you will be redirected to this is the body text. But in case of OBH, this text has to be changed. That is why it is not coming like that. Okay, I can now show you that thing. Control V OBH not sure कि उनके servers चल रहे हैं अभी. So if I launch without the Fire server, so our widget will react differently now. Yeah, so this time you can see there is a select your insurer drop down. So in this we will get all the insurance, whatever we have, based on whatever you select. Like if I select Humana, the launch API will be triggered. So this is totally a different workflow. We do not hit the launch when we launch for OVH. So launch API hit only when we have all the three parameters: the issuer, file server ID, and the other payload like issuer, file server ID, and the launch ID. Then only we hit the launch API. Once we get it succeed, then we move to next page. Here it is, I think. We will now be redirected to terms. Yeah, it's not working as expected, but yeah, that's a gist. Like we try to have all the UI components coming from the backend only. Not for Shopper, but for OBH, yes, it is configured. Second thing is when you go to this component, the second component, this is where our widgets. You can take it as a last component also, because here only we do not route to any page else. Like if I am on the second page, this route will not change. However, the widget whole functionality will be completed. So I switch to Humana. So now you can see like there is an infinite call happening to this get status API. Okay, let it launch. So it checks whatever status we are having from the backend, and then depending on status, our UI screen reacts.
When you say status from backend, are we concerning about the macro status key like
Yes.
the 700,000?
Yes.
Okay,
Not that, not 1000. They map it to something else. There is a model in between that does that.
Oh, okay.
Data acquisition status API, it is like that. So
Okay. But only upon success only we are redirecting to success, and if anything fails, it will
yeah,
be
different
something.
UI screens are available for different scenarios.
Okay. Yeah, when you say different scenarios, you're concerned about the way
Loading
it fails.
symbol, loading
Okay.
symbol, success screen, and the error.
And is them common for all the different pairs like Shoppers?
Yes. We can have a different layout, like messaging can be different, or
Okay.
showing some icons can be different, but rest is still the same.
Okay, got it.
My local is not working as expected, so I'm not even the Humana page is not open. So not sure. Let me give you through this. So now if I click here, it should start triggering this API. So this is an infinite call. This API will be called till there is a stopping case read.
Aman, can't hear you. Is this only me or anyone else?
No,
Yeah,
we
we
are-
also can't hear him.
I think we lost it.
Yeah, let's wait.
Hello.
Yeah, Aman, you're audible now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So I was saying, my internet got disconnected. So I,
Yeah,
this. But I think widget got bad shit. It's not calling the API now because it got failed at a level. Start. Yeah, I think we are at the top of the. We have a different meeting also. I can schedule another session, which we will continue further. So